The president is making immigration a big issue in the upcoming elections. Today, he repeated he wants to end the constitutional guarantee that anyone born on U.S. soil is automatically a U.S. citizen, even if the parents are in the country illegally. And the president believes he has the power to do it. Here's Major Garrett.
A week before the midterm elections, President Trump said he could end so-called birthright citizenship with a stroke of his pen.
You can definitely do it with an act of Congress, but now they're saying I can do it just with an executive order.
That would mean overturning a portion of the Constitution's 14th Amendment that says all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States.
We're the only country in the world where a person comes in, has a baby, and the baby is essentially a citizen of the United States for 85 years with all of those benefits. It's ridiculous.
As you can see, Donald Trump attempted of removing birthright citizenships for any person that was born in the United States, even though their families were not born in the same country. Obviously, this law was not passed due to the government disagreeing because he wanted to change the amendments, that was going to be really hard to do. But it does give you perspectives of what he thinks to Latinos and what he thinks to Hispanics. Me growing up in LA, I've always been surrounded with Hispanics. I have never dealt with racism since I've always been around with my people. But seeing that I am just trapped inside a shell, it makes me think of what people think of me when I leave LA, when I leave California, if I go to the East. What will people think of me? And even though they agree with Trump saying that we do not have the rights to vote, we do not have the rights to travel, we don't have the rights to do the thing as a regular citizen, I counter with that. I have done things that a regular citizen could do. The first thing I want to talk about is recently, after graduating high school, I decided to go to El Salvador. The last time I went was, who knows, but I was quite excited. It was my first time flying solo, so I was a bit nervous. But realizing that I am a citizen, it was quite simple, really. I arrived at the airport, I showed them my passport, my vaccination card, obviously. I gave them my luggage, to my airline. I go through security, and that's it. That was it. That was quick, simple steps. I arrived at El Salvador after a 5-hour trip, and I go to immigration, obviously. It was some lady. I have them my passport. And then she asked me simple questions. Why are you here? I said, to visit family. Where are you from? The United States, obviously. Where are your parents? They're currently in the United States. Are they also from El Salvador? Yes. How long are you staying? 3 weeks. And that was it. I was passed through. I realized that being a citizen has its perks. All I needed was just a leather book. And that was it. I don't need papers. I don't need to do anything else. Just give them a book, and that's it. I'm passed through. It made me think of how I do have citizenship. How being born in a country where my family isn't gives me perks. Give me citizenship, and that's something that I appreciate about. During those 3 weeks, I had an awesome time in El Salvador. I saw my family, went to many different places, and overall had a good time. But that's besides the point. Arriving back, I thought that the process is going to be harder coming back to the United States. Obviously, the U.S. is quite strict with immigration. But I said goodbye to my family, and my flight was like 8 in the morning, so it was like 5 in the morning in the airport. But besides that, same process as I was in the United States. Give them my luggage, give them my passport vaccination card, and go to security. The process of El Salvador at the airport was quite easy, the same thing. But arriving was different. When I arrived, I wasn't where everybody else was at when you land, obviously when you leave your gate. I was in the immigration area. I grabbed my luggages, and I had to go to immigration. There was 2 lines. One for people who had great papers, like green cards, visas, etc. Another line was for U.S. citizens. I looked at the line with the visa and green cards and stuff like that. It was packed. packed with people, just a massive line. And to my right, for U.S. citizens, it was just 6 people. It made me think of how different I am. Not obviously different in like, race, but nationality, you could say. How I just needed a book to, get into the United States, and they, who knows the process they had to do, the other people to get a visa. But either way, I go up to the immigration, I give him my passport. He looks at the passport, he looks at me, and says, "How was your trip?" I'm like, "Oh, it's fun. I had a good time. I saw my family." And he's like, "Oh, that's great." And then he just said, "All right, look at the camera." And I'm like, "Okay." I had to crouch a little bit, look at the camera. And he said, "All right, that's it. Welcome home." And I'm like, he's like, "Welcome back." I'm like, "That's it?" He's like, "Yeah, that's it. You're good to go." I'm like, "Oh, cool." Grab my passport, and then I find my family, my mom and dad, waiting in their car, and that's it. I I was just in confusion. I thought that the process of coming back to the U.S. was going to be difficult, but knowing that I have a U.S. passport, it was like 2 minutes. It made me think of how it completely different I was for like the completely different position that I was in and like the other people who had visas and stuff like that. But I get as a perk of being a citizen. Over those 3 weeks, Salvador, the election was happening. The government election, the California government election. I received the ballot in the mail, and I opened it up, voted who I wanted to vote for, put it in the envelope, and left in front of my front door because the next day I was gonna go drop it off in the mail. And I didn't think too much of it. My mom, on the other hand, was shocked, and I told her like, "What's up? What happened?" And then she told me like, "Well, you voted." And I'm like, "What about it?" I'm like, "It's not the presidential election, something crazy." But she's like, I have never voted before. I left El Salvador at an early adulthood age, so I never had the experience of voting. And she was right. She did leave her at a really early age. So I guess that's something that I experienced and she hasn't. But overall, it made me think of being a citizen meant, what it means to be a citizen. Overall, when people say that people should not have birthright citizenships if the mother and father aren't from that same country, I deny that reasoning. I believe everyone should have that birthright citizenship because that's something that people should earn and have. That's an amendment, you can say. I have told stories of why I am a citizen, and it's because of the birthright citizenship. I disagree with people who say that we should get rid of it because that is something that should not be taken off. It doesn't matter if you're not from that country, you weren't your family, your ancestors weren't raised in that country. But if you were born in that different country, then you deserve to have the citizenship of it. Thank you.